Hold on to your butts because we're making my favorite drunk as shit at 1 a.m. food. Taco Bell chicken quesadillas. How the hell they cost so much? I don't know, but take my money because they always hit. We're making our own Jalapeno Crema sauce, blending some cheeses together, and by the end of this, we may come out cheaper than an actual Taco Bell meal per serving. By the way, for $1 more, you can add a line of sour cream and like 8 dices of tomato to your taco, turning it into a taco supreme. A whole $1. Okay, seriously, Taco Bell, you're gonna stop taking advantage of my drunk ass, okay? Financially and in the bathroom. Starting out, we need to get our chicken marinated. There are tons of marinade recipes out there. This happens to be my favorite for grilled chicken tacos, and now I'm going to use it for today's. So, in a big measuring cup or bowl, we'll start out with 1/4 cup of water and add to it a 1/2 cup of oil. This was canola oil. Next is the zest of 1 lime. I'm using this microplane, and you just want to get the green parts. Once you start to see white, stop. Otherwise, you'll be adding bitterness to your marinade. And holding the zester on top and running it over the lime is a way better to collect the zest and see what you're doing versus running the lime on top of the zester. Add that to the water and oil, and next we'll be adding in the juice of 1.5 limes. So use the lime you just zested and zest it first because it is hard to zest a squeezed lime, trust me, and then add the juice of another 1/2 of a lime. You essentially want 1/4 cup of fresh lime juice. Next, we'll add in 6 cloves of minced garlic. I ran these through my garlic press and it's so easy. You don't even have to take the skin off, you just squeeze it and it all comes out. Then we'll add in 1 tablespoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, and 1 teaspoon of Mexican oregano. You can use regular oregano if you don't have Mexican oregano, which by the way, the packaging probably won't say it that way. It's not gonna say Mexican oregano, but you'll find this at Latin markets or in the Latin section, and it just has a more pungent flavor than regular oregano, which is why we're using it. Lastly, we'll need 1/4 cup of a finely chopped red onion. I like finely chopped because when we take all this out of the marinade, I like some of those small bits of onion and garlic and other things we add to be stuck to the chicken. And we'll add in 1/4 cup of chopped cilantro. Mix all that up. Now, let's prepare our chicken. Chicken thighs. Chicken thighs. Say it with me, chicken thighs. Some of y'all are going to ignore this and still use chicken breasts. And if that's your jam, sure, but chicken thighs is going to be way better in flavor and texture. Now, if your concern is, oh, chicken breasts are supposed to be healthier than chicken thighs, I can tell you right now, the difference between thighs and breasts is about 40 more calories in the thighs and like 4 grams of fat, okay? That's it, small change. So again, chicken thighs are absolutely worth the extra 40 calories and 4 grams of fat. So much flavor you're missing out on if you insist with chicken breasts. And as I say this in every single video, they are way more forgiving when cooked than chicken breasts. So like thighs are done at 175, but stay juicy even up to like 195, 200. Chicken breasts on the other hand are done at 165, but if you go over 5 degrees in a chicken breast, you're pretty much now eating Viva paper towels. So I've got around 1.5 pounds of chicken thighs here. I think this marinade is probably good for up to about, I'd say 2 pounds of chicken thighs, maybe even 2.5. If you see any excess fat, just go ahead and trim that off. And these are boneless and skinless, by the way. And you can find brands that do a really good job of trimming the fat off for you. But of course, it's always cheaper to do things yourself like trimming and deboning, just FYI. Anyway, our chicken is going into the Ziploc bag and we'll pour the marinade on top. Squeeze out all the air and give it a good massaging, really working that marinade and all those herbs and onions and stuff around, okay? Then just for extra precaution, I'm throwing this into a small casserole dish just in case there's any leaks, and into the fridge it goes for 2 hours. Yes, 2 hours. I know this is definitely not a drunk at 1 a.m. friendly recipe, but having this stuff already made before 1 a.m. is clutch. While the marinade goes, we can make my favorite part, the jalapeno cream sauce. Is what makes the Taco Bell quesadilla so damn good. And it's pretty simple. So to a small blender, I'm adding in 1/2 cup of sour cream. This is actually a table cream that I like to use just because it's more liquidy, if that's a word, and easier to put into sauce bottles, but regular sour cream is totally fine. Next is 1/2 cup of mayo. Then we need some pickled jalapenos. I'm using about 3 tablespoons of pickled jalapenos and then 3 tablespoons of the juice they came in. That right there is all of our wonderful flavor for this. Then we'll add in 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika, 2 teaspoons of ground cumin, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of chili powder. Lastly, just under a teaspoon of white sugar. Maybe this was like 3/4 of a teaspoon. Give that a good blending until smooth and then set aside in the fridge till it's time to assemble our quesadilla. This should be good for up to a week and it makes an amazing sauce for tacos, burritos, hell, you can put it on your eggs, whatever you want. It is a really delicious sauce. Now, 2 hours is up. I'm getting my chicken out of the marinade and onto a rack over some paper towels just to let the excess drip off. And then it's seasoning time. Now, you can use any type of Mexican or taco seasoning that you want, whether it's a Lawry's packet or you have your own blend. But I love this 8-second ride Carne Asada seasoning by Cattleman's grill. You know me, I'm a big Cattleman's grill fan. It's a great seasoning for things on the grill, which you very well could do this chicken on the grill. It would be amazing and awesome, but it also works great in the kitchen. Again, totally fine to use whatever Mexican seasoning or taco seasoning that you want. Just make sure to hit all the sides and crevices of the chicken thighs, and don't be shy with it either. Once seasoned, I like to let the chicken hang out for about 10 minutes, which is enough time for that seasoning to start melting into the chicken. We can also use this time to preheat our oven to 400 degrees because we're going to start this chicken out on the cast iron and finish it in the oven. So now I've got my cast iron skillet over high heat. Once the cast iron is ripping hot, we'll place our chicken in and not touch it for like 2 to 3 minutes. This is to allow some searing action to take place on our chicken. Now you at home will have a much better looking sear on your stovetop than I do using this induction top, just because it tends to concentrate the heat in just the middle. But essentially you want to have a good browning on the chicken. And while we wait, I just want to show off this Thermopin by Thermoworks. It is a clutch food thermometer when cooking because it reads temperatures fast, so you're not having to keep your hands close to flames or letting out all the heat from whatever device you're cooking in. And it allows consistency among your cooks. If you nail a temperature every time, you'll know what to expect every time, versus trying to time it out because there are tons of variables like heat output, size of the chicken, how the temperature starting out with the chicken, etc. So grab you one of these if you can. Otherwise, let's check our chicken. If we see some browning, we'll flip the chicken onto the other side and then immediately place the entire cast iron pan into the preheated oven. So that side in contact with the pan will have a chance to sear, and the radiant heat from the oven will help finish cooking the chicken all the way through more evenly. And this is going to be great for those of you who, again, ignored my calls for using chicken thighs and you're using chicken breasts. This is a great method of cooking chicken breasts. But don't use that, use chicken thighs. And yes, we could just cook this chicken all the way through on the cooktop, but then we run the risk of ruining our good sear on the outside or burning things and adding ugly flavors. We just don't want that. So into the oven, I put the chicken for 15 minutes and then I checked it with my pen to see if we had reached over 175, and we did. So now we can chop up the chicken and set it aside. Now let's talk cheese. I'm using a Oaxaca cheese today, which is a great melting cheese for quesadillas. You can find this at Latin markets, and sometimes if your grocery store has a refrigerated Mexican section, you can find it there too, where like the tortilla cheeses and stuff might be. I'm also adding in some Kraft Mexican style cheddar jack just because I like the flavors those have and they add to the Oaxaca cheese. You can totally ignore my fancy ass and just use the Mexican shredded cheese, but if you have the access, try it all out. No real measurements here, just however much cheese you see fit in your belly. Now to assemble our quesadilla. I'm using my electric griddle here just because it's easier to film and show visually, but you can totally clean out that cast iron pan that you cook the chicken in and make it all in there. And also I should say you don't have to use cast iron, you can totally use a nonstick pan, but cast iron or this griddle is a great way to go. I've got my griddle around 400 degrees or medium high heat, and after hitting the surface with some cooking spray, I'm placing my tortilla down to warm up some. That spray will also help the tortilla crisp up a bit too. I'll flip it around a few times until it's nice and pliable, and then on one half of the tortilla, I'm going down with a layer of Oaxaca cheese first since I want it closer to the heat so it can start melting. Then a single layer of chicken, use however much you want. I use a lot because again, nothing pisses me off more than a quesadilla from Taco Bell with only like 5 pieces of chicken in it and all that cheese. So go crazy here, you deserve it. Then our jalapeno cream sauce and our Kraft Mexican cheese blend. By the way, I probably should have just mixed all this up together, but I was just being lazy and didn't do that, so woe is me. Fold the empty side of the tortilla over, and after about 10 seconds or so, however long it takes for that tortilla to kind of settle, I'll flip it over again, and I'll just keep flipping it over and over again, trying to get the tortilla crispy and also to get that cheese to melt. And after maybe about 5 minutes or so, it was done. Cut your quesadilla into triangles, throw a little pico and guac on the side, and enjoy yourself a delicious Taco Bell quesadilla at home. Hey, this is Poor Choices Kitchen. We have a Patreon link down in the description. $1 a month is all we ask for to pay for recipes in these here inflated times. And we also have a YouTube membership. That one is $2.99 just because YouTube likes to take their cut. Both of these go a long way in helping us make these recipes, and I'm hoping over time as I begin to be able to make money off of this channel that I can do special Patreon and members only things. That is definitely in the works, but for right now it's just little old me by myself, so I gotta make sure I don't burn out. Oh, and of course you can't go wrong with tequila or Mexican beer here. So you all enjoy this recipe, and I will see you all back here next time.